we just went through, what, E3 week, effectively? We had the Summer Games Fest, we had the OTK show before that, rather. And we kind of already knew that the Bazaar wasn't going to be there. But, you know, we were all hoping that it would end up being there. Unfortunately not. However, we did get a little tiny bit out of it. Prompted by, actually, Lysak, you can see, but many people in the Bazaar Discord. All talking about how we wish that Bazaar would be there to show some more information to us. They can take their kind of time, they can release when they're ready to, blah, blah, blah. But that's what, in general, the community just wants to see more. We're in love with this game, we want to see more about it. Because of all of that, the marketing director, among other things, no, vice president of marketing, whatever it is that Bruce's official title is, the guy that talks to us about the Bazaar sometimes, made this post about their position on these sort of shows and what we can expect or not expect to see. So, without further ado, from Roost, yesterday, as of recording this, which would have been my Friday stream, there can be a lot of factors that go into something like this. It's not as simple as, hey, Mr. Jeff, here's a 120-second long trailer. Can you play it on your really popular show, please? There is, in the overall marketing and communication strategy, there is the overall marketing and communication strategy that they need to think about. They have to think if they have something for the fans to follow up on, a call to action or a larger goal for the trailer. What good does showing the world now actually do, and is there any harm that it can do? You have the cost, the longer the trailer, the placement of the trailer, etc. can have an extraordinary effect on price. You're going to want to be early or around some of the other big hype announcements, and if you want a feature, then yeah, it's going to cost more. Even just making the trailer can be costly as well. You're oftentimes charged by the second for animation studios, of which we already know. We've seen the Bazaar, or a very, very small part of the Bazaar trailer, I guess, which would be the Bazaar intro animation, sort of animation thing. That would already have been charged. So yeah, they're already spending some money on that sort of thing. Terms and conditions, for example, you can't just buy into a spot at something like the opening night live. You also actually have to buy Gamescomm showroom floor space. So they would have to have a floor space at Gamescomm to also be at the opening night. There's also then man hours, both for the Gamescom showroom floor and man hours for everyone working on this sort of content and marketing stuff. And then you have to, obviously, quality of content means more man hours, etc. So I'm going to take a quick deep dive through this because, as per usual, maybe a little bit less than usual, Roost normally says very, very PR type things. He does a very good job. He does a very good job at his job and not saying stuff he shouldn't, but also giving us a lot to think about. So let's take a look at what he's really saying. There can be a lot of factors that go into them jumping on one of these shows. That kind of says what, in fact, Roost says more than he should, perhaps, there. Their overall strategy, Roost is, I guess, leaking. Not really leaking, a little bit here, but listing overall marketing communication strategy. Yes, it's his job. Marketing is a big part of what Roost does, so he will have a general strategy for marketing, but I wonder if he actually means overall marketing and a communications strategy. As in, do they have a communication strategy for the Bazaar? Have they already, I mean, it wouldn't surprise me, put in place some sort of plan for how to release the Bazaar? This isn't something we necessarily thought about, but they just went dark. As far as we know, they just went dark. Yes, they did say that they're bolstering their content and they'll release it when it's ready and there'll be more on it soon. We have a whole video about soon on the channel recently. But was it a little bit more than that? Did they actually have a plan? It sounds ridiculous, right? Of course they had a plan. But as the fan base of the game, did we actually consider that they might have a plan? I don't think we did. I think we just saw everything disappear and then we were a bit sad because it didn't come back sooner rather than later. So yeah, it may well be they actually have a plan, they actually have a strategy, and if that's the case, I'm not as worried about when it's all going to be coming out, because we will see it when we are supposed to, which is important. The next bit, do you have a follow-up? Do you have something for the fans to follow up on, a call to action, a large goal? That is important, right? If you do a huge expensive trailer, we'll get on to the expenses, but if you do a huge expensive trailer and it's just to spread word of mouth about your game, like realistically, you want a huge trailer and at least like wishlist us on Steam. Obviously, that's not happening here because we're not on Steam. Or like join our newsletter. At the very least, join our Discord, which yes, they can do, but how many of those people actually turned into fans? I feel like this is a little bit of a side point, but driving people to Discord in this day and age doesn't mean they are guaranteed to even buy your game. Driving people to Discord means there is a chance they become a community member or even an advocate for your game. But I think, and many people use Discord differently, but at least the way I and many people I know use it, we join quite a few Discord servers and mute quite a few Discord servers. So if you're just joining a server because you're like, oh, that game looks interesting, I'll join the server, mute it because I'm annoyed by the pings from the community that are active there, and you check it, I don't know, once a month, once every other month, as I do, sometimes even less for some of the stuff I've joined, you're not going to buy the game. Like, you might actually miss the game if it's coming out. So if that's your only call to action, that's probably not enough. For example, even I have the main Bazaar muted, the main Bazaar Discord, because it can get busy while I'm at work and stuff. I always check up on it. I check it every single day. But yeah, there's like 2 or 3 servers I don't have muted. Most of them are just like very small, close friends, and then our Discord server, links down below. So, cost is the other one. The longer the trailer, the placement of the trailer, etc. can have extraordinary effect on price. If you want a decent slot, you're going to have to pay quite a bit. The Bazaar, and normally I just be like, sure, great. Of course, the better the trailer or the bigger the trailer, the more it's going to cost you, right? Well, yes, but consider what the Bazaar has to say. Right? To get people who would be interested in the game to follow through on that call to action, whenever we have one, you need to specifically tell them what the Bazaar is, show them some gameplay, but also somehow convey the whole asynchronous play, potentially the ability to own your skins and resell on some sort of like Steam marketplace, but for the Bazaar. There's the actual like building system that doesn't really work like much. Like, it's kind of an auto battler, but it's really not. Like, how do you even begin to convey those sorts of things? Like, it's going to be a really difficult job to squeeze that into a small trailer. So it's going to have to be a relatively big trailer, at least like slightly big. It's going to have to be like flashy animations and some gameplay with at least some voiceover or text. And on top of all of that, it's Reynad's game, right? That's one of the unique selling points of this game, is Reynad made it, so Reynad has to make an appearance. This trailer's starting to get longer and longer. Which means when they outsource some of the work for it, there's going to be more money there. Although I would say Series B was pretty fucking successful, so maybe money isn't too much of a problem these days. But who knows? I really don't know. Obviously, they can't just be like throwing money at everything, because that's how you run out of money real quick. But they should be able to afford some sort of marketing. And then, yeah, there are terms and conditions, extra stuff they have to do. They have to commit to a show, like actually commit to a show if they're going to one. They have to be on the floor. They have to have the trailer, they have to have the call to action, they have to send people there. They probably want to have Reynad available at least for some sort of interview or something or whatever. There's a lot of extra bits that are going to go into it. So yeah, there's an awful lot that has to go into them being prepared to even be at a show. For me, there are 2 big factors, right? There is actually having the trailer. They need to have finished that. we might be able to decipher when that has happened. It may... Put it this way, the music for the trailer may already be done, because we haven't heard anything from Jonathan Warman, who is pretty good at communicating with us through Instagram and stuff, when he was working on the music side of it. I don't think we've heard much about that for a long time, so maybe he's finished with the music. But the rest of it, we're not entirely sure. I don't even know what animation studio they were using, so if we find any of that, I will be the first to let you guys know. The second and more important thing is that call to action. At the very, very least, pre-orders have to be back. And while that might be like, oh, okay, so it's going to be ages until... Not necessarily. Because we also heard from Bruce recently, there are 2 new websites coming. I think they are refreshing the Tempo website, but maybe also refreshing the Bazaar website or something. There are some new websites coming. It may as well have been Steph, not Roost. I don't know. It was one of them. New websites potentially means pre-orders coming back, is what I could infer from what was said and what wasn't said. There are a couple people making these comments in Discord when Roost announced the websites, and he didn't shoot them down. So that's not a yes. That's never a yes. That could be a Roost was busy and missed that comment and it flew up through the chat. That could definitely have happened, but keep your eye out probably for the next thing to happen, which will be the new website dropping. So the best place to find out about that is probably the Bazaar Discord. Maybe even our Discord. We might find out about it sooner. So definitely join both of those. And if you're interested in more Bazaar stuff, then you probably want to check out the next video.